The pearls on shower, redo of our on the pearl. Seven, are you being a presenter? Do I need to make you a photo? On our end, it looks like you're not moving. But I can't hear where you're.
Was there a question directed at me?
Laura speaking, I'm wondering, are you the person who's presenting the slides? Do I
Yeah.
make you a photo? Maybe our audio. Microphone seems to be on.
No, you're good.
Well, you know how you can usually slide it up to make the volume less loud? Let's maybe a little.
It's already all the way up. Oh, I see what you're saying. Go up. Microphone, go up again. Keep going up.
Well, this is the output.
And that's oh. Yeah, no, I think that's fine.
I'll just make it. I don't know. Test this one for.
They said they could hear us. Yeah.
Yeah, but someone was having a little trouble. Maybe because we were lost. Okay, do we have forum? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think we. Yep. Okay. All right. We are calling our meeting to order. Not quite on time, but pretty darn good. For those here in the Zoom room, there is some pizza at the back of the room. And it will run out because I think we actually have more people than I thought would be here. And the good thing, we don't have to take anything home. My name is Laura Myers. I am president of United Neighborhood Council. This is our governor's board meeting. And Michael, can you call the roll and then I will go over the stuff.
Candace? Secret?
Excuse.
Elizabeth? Hunter?
Here.
Laura?
Present.
Joshua?
Here.
Oh,
Here.
here. Michelle?
Here.
Here.
Kamala? Here, Green?
Here.
Michael Kimbrough? Chris?
Here.
Siobhan?
Here.
Sandra? Caesar?
He did email me to say he wouldn't come. I did beg him to come at 7:30 to 8:15 for 30 items, but maybe we don't need it.
Okay. And Robert?
Here. Okay, so I'm going to remind everyone who is here in the room, and this is Laura speaking, that we have an AI transcriber for our audio, and our she does not know who is speaking. It only knows that it's UNC president. So when you speak here, please try to remember, we all forget, I forget more than the rest of you, to state name. This is Laura, this is Tom, this is Mary, so that when we look at the transcript, we have a chance of actually knowing who said what. If you're here in the room, do need to please sign one of the waiver slips that are at the back of the room for the facility. And I will be collecting that at the end of the meeting. And what else is on the agenda? Oh, I need to share. That's what I haven't done. I will share the agenda in a moment. But before we do that, just because, sorry, I'm ill prepared. Immediately to the item 2, which is general public comments on items not on the agenda. So, if anyone has comments on items not on the agenda, please somebody, because I really have to change up the etc. Does any?
Thank you to Sandra for organizing that great health and wellness fair last month. It was wonderful. I think everyone had a great time and I had fun. It was lovely.
Thank you.
Talk about it on the agenda.
Oh, sorry.
Sandra.
Thank you.
That was not
on the agenda. All of us see what message we. Yes.
Is there any? Boy, you guys, our computers are not friendly tonight. Sorry about that. Any other general public comment? I cannot see the Zoom screen. No one's got their hand raised. Okay. All right, so I am going to share the agenda. As best as I can. And we will go through it. So, along with the comments and announcements that we just went over, we have item 3, it's LAPD Senior Lead Officer, Ochoa. Green, he's not yet present if you wanted to. He's there, he's there. Perfect, yeah. Item 4 is the presentation and updates regarding the Division 0 project on Pico Boulevard, and they are here. Scroll down, CD10 report. We have our field deputy Lisa's here. Dunn report. If Daniel comes, then we'll have that. And then we have several funding requests. We have what we would call an administrative request. It's our own the money for the emergency preparedness workshop that we've been talking about for June 6th. And although it doesn't say it overtly, we will have to actually do a motion to approve that we are holding an event, because we'll be returning on an event form. South LA Trees requests a nonprofit grant in MPG to purchase native trees and supplies for upcoming tree plantings. Teresa will explain a little further. There are 2 fire service day events that we are being asked to help support. One for the whole South Bureau of LAFD, and the other is for our local station 26. And we have an MPG for a nonprofit called My Serenity Sanctuary. I know you love me. We have a number of land use items. One, the open space element, we did kind of align some ideas last night in planning and zoning. Will explain that, and I think what you're going to end up doing is authorizing us to write a letter to be approved by the executive committee. So you do love that. That's been a long time. We may table or may review briefly the prior recommendation on the Human History Museum, which again I'll explain when we get there, but we're most likely asking for an extension of time for the zoning administrator. And we will be reviewing and voting on a proposal at 2800 West Jefferson to build a new mixed-use development. And any follow-up to previous cases, I don't want to do that. Elizabeth, oh, your computer's not here, so we don't have the letter for Elizabeth.
Yes, sorry.
Yes, we don't.
Yes, we don't.
Okay, so we'll be tabling item 8. And we have committee reports. we'll have a report from Sandra on the Leslie Shaw Park anniversary event, and if there's any other committee reports, that would be the time. Under executive committee, we will have Daniel Johnson, who's just arriving from Dunn. Under executive committee, Candace is not here, nor is the monthly expenditure report, so we absolutely won't be doing that. And under this report, we will be, it's not exactly listed on the agenda, but we've been asked to support two motions that I think that Lisa might have information on, that she might not, but the council is making a couple of motions at CD10 that have been asked us to write a letter of support. And basically, that's it. Anyway, this, so, we're gonna try and run through this as quickly as possible. So starting on item 3, Senior Lead Officer Rafael Espinosa from our Olympic Police Station. Let's welcome him. He's on Zoom call. Hi, hello, Officer Espinosa.
Good evening.
Hi, hi.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I am at home in my office, so that's why I'm on Zoom. This is my first time here at UNC. I took over for Senior Lead Officer Chavez. He took over by the mayor's residence, Hancock Park area, and as one of the other SLOs retired. So then I recently got my star last year. So I've been a SLO for 28M71, which covers Sugar Hill, Harvard Heights, Western Heights, basically from Normandy to Arlington, from Pico to the 10 freeway. And that's my area for Olympic Division. So some of the recent crime trends that have been going on for the last 2 weeks, we've had an uptick on catalytic converters being taken. That's new. That just started back up again. And we've only had 4, but we had none for a while. So that started coming up. So we're requesting extra patrol at nighttime for that. Also, burglary for motor vehicles is up. So if you can hide it, lock it, keep it, we greatly appreciate that. Don't leave anything inside your vehicles. If you do leave anything, put it in the trunk or put it in where it can't be seen. There's been recently a lot of unhoused activity coming from the freeways. Caltrans has been doing the cleanups on the embankments of the freeways, which then pushes them either south or north of the 10 freeway. I do work with CD10 very closely to conduct cleanups as soon as that happens. When they come on to my side, I work with Terrence from CD10, which is the Rapid Response Cleaning Crew, and he helps me out a lot with the cleanups. And then I also work with Roger Estrada from CD10, which is the homeless outreach coordinator, so we can try to get them services if needed and if they want to take it at that time. One of the things that we have going on right now, it's kind of short notice, but there's a grant that we're trying to apply for from District 37 for funds so we can go ahead and get cameras installed from Western and on the main corridor of Washington and Venice from Western. And with that, that would be a pilot program from Axon, which it's going to be installed on the north part of Western, closer to Melrose. I'm pretty sure you guys heard about the prostitution that's going on the north side. It does happen on the south side. It's happened less. But now that they've been enforcing a lot on the north side, it's pushing them back down on the south side. So that's why we're going to apply for the grant with approval from my captain, Captain Rodriguez. And that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns for me?
Siobhan, then Ed, then Michael.
Can you repeat the corridor that it's going to be? I know you said Washington and I heard Western and Venice and then I heard Melrose. So I just wanted to make sure I understood what part you're campaigning for those cameras to be on.
So it's gonna be for the south side of Western from Pico South all the way to the 10 freeway on Western. And then it will be on Washington, probably like 2 blocks on each side of Washington to cover the main thoroughway. And then on Venice, the same thing from Western, going east and west. It just depends if we're able to get the grant, and then if so, how many cameras we can go ahead and put up.
Got it, thank you.
Ed Saunders, then Michael, then Showcase.
Ed Saunders speaking. My question is about the helicopters. There seems to be that this area is being patrolled by, there's a lot of helicopter activity. And as a resident in the area, when the helicopter's going over, we have no idea what's going on. There's no communication to the ground, what's happening. And we're just stuck while these helicopters are circling for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever. And we have no idea what's going on. And I'm asking you, is there some way to communicate to the residents what the situation is so that we even know we are to shelter in place or go about our business or what's going on? But all we have is this constant noise going on and not knowing what's happening.
Okay, so if the helicopters are circling an area, they're probably looking for somebody, or there's a hot shot call, a code 3 response call, which is lights and sirens, which they requested a helicopter. Now, if it's circling, that means that they're probably in the perimeter, or they're searching for somebody who is either in the area.
You're fading out. I can hardly hear what you're saying.
Okay, like I said, the helicopters, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, the helicopters usually, if they're circling an area, that means that they're looking for somebody. I can't tell you like exactly the dates and times and calls and stuff like that unless I'm in front of my work computer where I can look up the incidents of what those certain times were. But if they're circling an area, that's because they're looking for somebody. I understand if you feel like you're in the dark in regards to what they're doing or when they're doing it. I am not a sponsor of this app. I use it myself. It's called the Citizens app. And basically with the Citizens app, you punch in your location, you make that as your home, and it'll pop up with, sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's not, but 9 out of 10 times it's pretty accurate and tells you like, hey, the police are looking for an armed suspect, or they're in the pursuit of a suspect, or there's somebody in this area, that's what they're looking for and stuff like that. We don't have an app like for the department in regards to where citizens can log in and see what the PD is doing. But if you happen to see PD outside, it depends on the situation, of course. If they're looking for an armed suspect, you go outside, they're probably going to tell you to go back inside your house because they're looking for somebody. But that's the only thing I could tell you, sir. It would probably be.
But that's my point. We don't see, he's not in my neighborhood, I don't see any patrol cars. It's just the helicopters that are going round and round and round. I mean, it's not like you see patrol cars down the street looking for somebody. All you have is helicopters that are constantly circling and no communication, and you just don't know what's going on. And so,
right.
And so you're saying that the Citizens app, which you said may be right, maybe wrong. Question, I guess, to you, and maybe you can take it to your people. Why aren't the police communicating to the citizens down here, at least give them some idea of what's going on? Why isn't something that can communicate directly either through the iPhone or some communication to let us know that we're safe, we're not safe, don't go outside, rather than just, having us totally in the dark while you're going around 30 to 45 to an hour, and we don't know what's going on.
Where do you live at, sir? Or approximately? You can just give me the majors.
Western Heights, in Western Heights.
And this last event that occurred, do you remember the date?
It was a couple this week. Yeah,
We did have a hot pursuit and there actually were about 9 police cars right on Gramercy and at the end by the gates and down on 21st.
so maybe they.
Oh, that was on Sunday.
There was information, so we'll make sure you're on that.
When everybody is talking
Okay.
over the AI, this is Laura speaking, we'll get confused. Laura's still speaking. I will say, at some time, when it's very dangerous, they are doing well mic'd. Get inside your house because, or drop your gun, which is an indication for the rest of us, get inside your house because it's just, but not always. So the other day, they were just circling and circling and circling.
Right.
They actually had.
And then eventually they said something.
When they had.
Okay, Mike.
This is Michael Soderstrom, for the AI, and, I've reached out to you and some other CD10 officials a couple of weeks ago, and then again, I think last week, regarding the homeless encampment on Oxford between Venice and Washington, and then an RV, one on Westmoreland, also between Venice and Washington, and one on Hobart. So one, just, I'm sure you don't have an update, and that's fine, but, just what we can do to, escalate this at this point, because it's been a while, and it's a bit of a residential block, so it's pretty sensitive.
So the RV, unfortunately, right now, the city, hold on, let me explain. We have OPG tow, which is the official police garage that is contracted by the city. The city, from my understanding, is not paying for tows for RVs. The reason why the tow trucks aren't towing the RVs is because they're not getting paid. So they don't want to do work that's not going to pay them. Now, the only way that we can tow an RV right now is if it was involved in a crime. So that's one. So meaning if it's a stolen RV, then we can run the plate, we can impound it because it's stolen, and they have to take it because it's a crime. That's the only way. And the second way is if it's going to be some sort of evidence that's inside that we have to contain, then they can take it, they'll put it in a secure lot, they'll wait for detectives to do a search warrant on it, and then they'll go ahead and execute the search warrant on the RV. But those are the only two ways. I'm trying to get clarification. Actually, my captain is also trying to get clarification in regards to why OPG tow isn't towing. Fortunately, we received some interesting news that one of our official police garage tow yards is actually closing in April. So we really don't know what's going to happen. I can't give you a definite answer in regards to when we're going to start towing the RVs again. We towed them before, and unfortunately, it costs money for them to be stored in a lot. We did have a city ordinance where they would come out and send a state ref from the DMV, and they would make sure that the RV was less than $4,000 in value. Then they would actually crush it on site, have DOT then impound the frame and the engine, and then that was the problem. That was it. That was the end of the problem. But unfortunately, they're not paying for the tow of the RV anymore, or they don't send the state refs out anymore. I do know of that issue in regards to that encampment that you're speaking about. And when I come back on Monday, that's actually on my list to do with Terrence from CD10.
Thank you.
So I know you were, Ally was gonna answer a piece of that, then Show King, and then we need to move on.
Alan speaking, just want to give a little experience that I've had recently with RVs. If any RV is leaking, that's where I've seen success. You report it to watershed through 311 to say that it is leaking, give an exact detail and photos of the entire RV with license plate if you can, as well as a clear photo of where it's leaking. I recently have had 2 RVs, one towed, one crushed. And then one, we don't know where it went. That was the one on 25th, between Gramercy and St. Yes, up on the north side. So it's St. Andrews and Gramercy. So that one I haven't seen come back because of the enforcement through watershed. It was leaking. They did cite it. And it was afraid and took off. We haven't seen it come back. So through enforcement, we've seen some positivity as well. So if we can partner with the senior lead or with DOT and say that they can at least ticket, one, if it's out of registration. Two, if it's not moving and it's deemed abandoned after 72 hours because it's not moving. Sometimes these also help for them to leave and find another location, to avoid getting more tickets.
Thank you. Michelle?
Hi, I just had a question about the, I think you said the cameras at the intersection of Venice and Western. Has there been research done about how much crime is reduced based on those cameras being present?
So those cameras would actually be part of Axon, so they would have license plate readers attached to them, and basically they would be recording 24/7. They'll have a memory of 45 days unless they get uploaded into the cloud. And then that way, if there is crime that happens, then the detectives can go ahead and research the cloud in regards to getting that data, that information that they need. It is a pilot program, so I don't have the data that you are asking about in regards to
Okay.
how much they have reduced in regards to crime and stuff like that. I know that they placed the cameras on the south side on Vig in regards to the prostitution, and that seemed to have cut it down tremendously in regards to that. They will be posted signs saying, hey, this area is being recorded, trying to deter people from committing crimes and stuff like that. So as soon as I get the data, I'll be more than happy to share.
Not a problem. I'm just hoping that when they do install, will they be able to see because it's pitch black in that area with regard to lighting at night?
Yeah, the
That
cameras they're gonna install will have night vision as well as other different things. I can't really say in regards to everything that the cameras can do and have, but they are really good cameras.
I understand, but basically I'm saying that if they can install some lights first, like street lighting, because there's none over there, and that has been proven to reduce crime up to 36% without any,
Right.
so if they can install some lights, that will help tremendously, especially with regards to what you mentioned about the catalytic converters. Because
Yeah, and the problem with the lights is they do install the lights, or Council District 10 will submit to install it. They'll install the lights. And unfortunately, within a week, as we all know, what happens, somebody goes in there, pulls the wire, and then suddenly the whole block is dark again. And that's
okay.
something that we are working on as well, with trying to figure out how we can go after the people that are buying the copper at the locations. But that's something that is handled by a different division, not myself as a senior lead. We did have an arrest for copper theft from my basic A car. They actually caught a guy up in a pole, and he stole about 65 feet of what's that wire? Fiber optic wire from Spectrum, AT&T, and Verizon. Cost over $100,000 worth of damage, but they were able to arrest them, and they're actually filing charges on them, which is great. But
Crazy. Yeah.
unfortunately, I mean, he didn't have a chance to get down before PD arrived, and they actually caught him up a pole like Spider-Man. So they were able to take him into custody. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm so sorry, I actually have a follow-up question. I've been walking around Cambridge, down Cambridge, and I've seen a bunch of like wires that look like they've been cut in half from like telephone poles. Is that same instance?
That is the
Yeah.
same instance. That's where they arrested the individual that was up in the pole. So the companies know that those wires were cut, and they just have to send out a crew in regards to come and repair them.
so, thank you very much. Thank you. And then, so everybody knows, Kareem and Grace of their public safety / emergency prep committee have instituted really regular visits from our 3 senior lead officers again for police stations. So if this is a top, broadly speaking, if this is a topic that interests you, watch for their agendas. I think it's Southwest is coming next Monday, right?
Yes,
So,
yes, they are.
so they're trying to, circulate among our police stations to get reports. It's not gonna be every month, just watch the agendas. And thank you very much, Officer Espinosa. I'd like to, we're gonna really change the subject now and move on to the Vision Zero team and Pico Boulevard. So, Severin and Eleanor can just unmute yourselves and tell us what you're here for. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I think Eleanor will be presenting and I'll be talking through the slides. But hi, everybody. Severin Martinez here. I'm with the Department of Transportation and I'm joined by my colleague, Eleanor Huntz. And we're super excited to come back to you a little over 6 months since we last visited your neighborhood council to share an update on our Pico Boulevard Safety and Mobility project. Eleanor, are you able to pull up the slides or?
I just sent a request. Sorry, I don't
Yeah,
think it was
yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna, Eleanor, allow you personally, along with Severin. I'll make you a co-host. Because I don't want to change the settings for the entire meeting, which is the message I was getting from Zoom. So will that work? Both of you can present?
Yes, I see the option.
Thank you. See the option. Oh, there you go.
There we go. Is this working?
Yes.
All right. Slideshow.
Okay. Yeah, so let's jump to the next slide. So we hope that you're all familiar with the project, but we will start with a little bit of overview in case somebody needs a refresher or if somebody's hearing about this for the first time. Then we will recap some of the engagement that we've done over the past several months and share what we've heard through that engagement process. Then we'll dive into the design that we are advancing and close out with what our next steps are. Next slide. All right, so our project covers Pico from Crenshaw on the west end to Figueroa on the eastern end. And as you can see in this map, it primarily straddles council districts 1 and 10. And it does provide direct connection to several destinations that are going to be used as Olympic venues in the 2028 Olympics. Next slide. So our project goals are to improve safety. We want to comply with the city's mobility plan. We want to increase access to economic opportunities and overall just make a more livable corridor that aligns with the city's transportation policy values. Next slide. So Pico is one of the most dangerous streets in the city. In the past decade, for which we have complete data, there were 75 serious crashes resulting in someone getting severely injured or killed. And actually, since we started our engagement on this project, there was another pedestrian who was fatally struck in a hit and run incident at Pico and Westlake. So the urgency for this project could not be any clearer. Next slide. We know that speeding is an issue on Pico. We see roughly 25% of drivers exceeding the posted speed limit of 35 miles per hour. And we also know that pedestrians struck at higher speeds are more likely to be killed. And that's what's being represented in the graph there. We are also pursuing this project in addition to in our desire to improve safety. We are pursuing this project because of the recently passed Measure HLA. So this was on the ballot in 2024 and it passed. And what it does is it requires the city, anytime we do resurfacing of a street more than 1/8 of a mile, we are required to implement certain transportation elements that are identified in the city's mobility plan. In this case, this means incorporating a bike lane as well as fixing the sidewalk along Pico. And this map here shows that in the approximate project area, about 75% of voters voted in support of Measure HLA. All right, so we are, here's our timeline. So when we came to you previously, we were in our phase 1 of public outreach. And when that closed out in the fall of last year, our design staff started designing a design alternative, I guess, for the street based on the feedback that we had received. They are still working on developing that design, but we are here now in our phase 2 public outreach, where we are giving folks an update on where we stand and which design alternative we selected. From here, we will be contracting out the work for the project, and we expect construction to start at the tail end of this calendar year and hopefully complete sometime in the spring or summer of next year. All right. So these next few slides, what I want to emphasize is that we did a lot of public engagement. We did a lot of tabling. We also had this pop-up activity exercise that you see represented in the bottom 2 in the picture and the diagram there, where we wanted to hear folks, what are your priorities? Which of the design alternatives that we were considering at the time do you support? And yeah, in total, we did about 12 such events. Next slide. We also did, in partnership with some local community organizations, we did a fair amount of door knocking to try to reach people. Next slide. We also did presentations to neighborhood councils, such as this one. We also spoke to the school communities along Pico Boulevard. In total, we distributed over 1,000 flyers and door hangers. And we had an online survey as well, where we received over 1,100 responses soliciting feedback on this project. We also sent out mailers to anybody with an address on Pico. We did targeted social media ads. We put up posters in several local business storefronts so that folks could scan a QR code or go to our URL and learn more information about this project and how to provide feedback. We did some activities specifically aimed at the business community as well, in partnership with the local bid. Next slide. So what did we hear from all this? Well, as I mentioned, we had a survey with over 1,000 responses. And when we analyzed the demographics of the survey takers, we were quite pleased to see that the demographics aligned with the demographics of the project area. And we also see, as represented in the map on the right, that the strongest response came from at the core of our project corridor. Next slide. Here's some highlights. We saw that through the survey responses that several of the design priorities that were expressed to us were improving safety, improving comfort, and having a street design that would promote sustainable transportation and improve air quality. We saw that about 75% of respondents preferred a protected bike lane design. And when we zoomed in to the more immediate project area, we still saw about 2/3 of respondents preferring a protected bike lane design. Next slide. So what we're looking at here are some of the thematic comments that we heard and how our design is being responsive to this feedback. So we heard a lot about pedestrian issues, and we will be adding 2 new signalized intersections at Pico and Manhattan and Pico and New Hampshire. We heard about a desire to make the street more friendly for bicycling. One of the marquee features of this project is that it does include a protected bike lane as part of that design. We also heard about vehicle access and the desire to preserve parking. So we are working with our engineers to preserve as much on-street parking as possible as our design allows, as well as in trying to find opportunities on adjacent side streets that intersect with Pico, where we may be able to pick up some parking spaces as well. And then we heard about a lot of things that are important issues, but aren't necessarily under the purview of the Department of Transportation. So we are working with our colleagues in the Bureau of Engineering, Urban Forestry, to address some of these other concerns. Next slide. All right, so now for the project design that we're advancing. So this is what Pico looks like today. Generally, it's 2 lanes of traffic in each direction with parking on either side. And we see some of the trade-offs associated with that. Pedestrians are crossing multiple lanes to get across. There's no dedicated space for bicycling. And we see there's some conflicts as well with left-turning vehicles. They make those turns from the fast lane. So there's a lot of things that aren't necessarily working great for any one user. Next slide. So as I mentioned, there was pretty strong support for advancing a protected bike lane design. And we see a representation of what that looks like here. So this would reduce Pico to a single lane in each direction. It would introduce a center left turn lane. It would add protected bike lanes in either direction, but it would remove parking on one side of the street. This design, when implemented elsewhere, we've seen that this kind of street redesign can reduce crashes by about 35%. This design would also make the street compliant with the city's mobility plan and the voter approved Measure HOA. Some of the trade-offs with this is that it would increase vehicle delay by about 1 to 2 minutes per mile. And we do expect to see about 270 loss in parking spaces. Next slide. So here's some other scope elements that we're looking at. I mentioned that we were looking at adding new signals at Pico and Manhattan, Pico and New Hampshire. We're trying to pick up some parking spaces on the side streets to offset that loss. We will be removing some peak hour parking restrictions that are currently on Pico. So you won't get a ticket if you're parked in the eastbound direction from 7 to 8 a.m. As you currently would be in certain segments. We are looking at adding bike parking so that we aren't just providing a transportation facility, but also a place to safely lock up as part of this project. Next slide. Although not directly tied to our project, we are working with Metro, who is currently expanding their bike share westward to see if we can incorporate any bike share along the Pico Boulevard corridor. Currently, Metro has identified 3 locations indicated on this map. I believe those are Arlington, Manhattan, and Vermont. And here's here's a rendering of what our project will look like once it's built. So this is looking west at Pico and Union. Next slide. And here's another one. This is at Manhattan where we're adding that new signal. And you can see parking is removed in the westbound direction, but it is preserved in the eastbound direction. Here's another diagram just showing a different kind of representation of some of these design elements. This is at Pico and Arlington, but basically the same features that I've been mentioning so far. Next slide. Again, we want to emphasize that we acknowledge the trade-offs associated with parking. So we do expect to lose about 270 spaces, primarily on the north side of the street, the westbound direction. On the eastbound direction, some would be lost for purposes of increasing visibility and for complying with some recent state law that requires having greater visibility at and near intersections. Next slide. And again, we want to emphasize the trade-off and the travel delay. So we expect to see between 1 to 2 minutes added delay per mile. However, I will say some of our recent projects where we've done similar changes, these estimates tend to be a little on the conservative side. That is, we tend to overestimate the delay. So if this holds with past patterns, the delay should be less than what we're seeing here. Next slide. All right, so next steps. Here's that timeline again. So we are in our phase 2 public engagement. In addition to coming to neighborhood councils such as this one, we will be having tablings along Pico Boulevard, kind of like impromptu office hours if folks want to ask questions, and certainly for anybody passing by to learn more about the project. We will post the details of some of these planned activities on our webpage. Yeah, if we keep on track, we will be starting construction at the tail end of this year. And that takes us through the presentation. I'm happy to take questions.
Okay, so it is 7:36. We do want to be able to ask questions, but. And unfortunately for me, I do have a key to the room, so we aren't booted at exactly 9 o'clock, but I don't think anyone wants to stay much longer than that anyway. So. Okay, so I'm discouraging long commentary, and let's just go to questions. Chris.
You talk about a protected bikeway, although in the images, it looked like everything was at grade and only the plastic bollards were dividing the space and the line work on the pavement. Are there any of those sort of armadillo raised?
Yeah. Yeah, so the question is about what kind of separation material we're looking at. So yeah, in the renderings, we were showing these plastic bollards, but we are exploring other types of separation materials shown on this slide. So in downtown, we've been testing some of these modular curbs. You mentioned armadillos. That's one particular brand. We also have on 3rd Street in downtown, we piloted a concrete barrier. These are things that we certainly can consider as part of that final design.
Thank you.
Ed?
Your first presentation, I asked a question regarding the impact on the other parallel streets like Venice, Olympic, and the other parallel streets to Pico. Has any study been done as to how much additional traffic is going to be put on those streets heading east and west? Has anybody?
Yeah, so we do expect that people that are just traveling through, so their destination isn't on Pico Boulevard, they're just trying to pass through the area. We do expect that kind of traffic to take Washington, Olympic, and the 10 freeway.
Yeah, so anyway.
Okay. Other questions, comments? So this is, David Safford.
Yes, quick question on the construction timeframe that you had listed. It seemed like it's gonna start fall, finishing winter. Is that what I thought I saw?
Yeah, so we'll be contracting out the work over the summer, and yeah, we could start maybe around November of this year construction, and we would be starting construction on the east end and working our way westward in increments.
What incentives does contractors have to stick to that schedule? I'm concerned on that because I mean, we have a project similar to that going on Arlington between Vermont and Arlington, or I'm sorry, on Jefferson between Vermont and Arlington, that the contractor seems to have stopped before Christmas and they have not been back since. So, I mean, that seems like a fairly aggressive schedule considering that the one on Jefferson's been going on for over a year now.
Yeah, I mean, I do think part of the evaluation process, depending on how many proposals we get, I think we certainly would take past positive, right, like experience into account. But there's always unanticipated things that can happen. You know, we do try to account for things like underground utilities, things that may result in work getting paused, but you know, we have an incentive to get this project finished in a certain amount of time. So that's all I can really speak for.
Okay. Thank you.
This is Laura speaking. Does any of this involve tree planting or re-greening of any kind?
So regrettably, the funding that we do have does not added greenery is not an eligible expense. Having said that, because we are introducing a center turn lane space on other projects, that space has been used to provide a landscaped median. So although it's not part of this particular project scope, we are essentially creating the space that could enable future greening.
Okay. What else? say thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're gonna move on. So,
Thank
our
you.
next item is government agency reports. And yes, you, why don't you go first? I know your
Yes,
name.
excuse me. Thank you very much, and I'll be quick. Dan Hickenbottom here from Senator Roland Smallwood's office. I was pleased to attend your event February 21st. I learned a lot of information, got a lot of information myself at your event at Leslie Shaw Park. Regarding copper theft, I can send you some email later, President. There is a bill, I can't remember who authored it, that I know was introduced to address the issue, I believe, of raising penalties for if you're caught for the copper theft. With respect to the senator's bill package, that your final bills were due last week. Her bill package is comprised of 13 bills, and I can send you that information. They'll be moving through the process. The one that she highlighted today at a press conference has to do with protecting federal employees, particularly those who are working at airports, the TSA staffers who, while they're having the impact of the Homeland Security shutdown, have to continue to work, but they're not getting paid. So this bill would put some protections in place from them being evicted, from landlords evicting them, or charging them higher fees and otherwise causing them to have problems maintaining their housing. So we'll see how that works through the process. And at any point in time, please feel free to reach out to me with your issues regarding state agencies. I can check in with Officer Raphael about if they're having issues with the encampments and how that, and those that pertain to the Caltrans right of way. So thank you very much.
Okay, Ally? Look. Look. I'm ready. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. So I'm gonna go through a few things. Rather than take questions in between, I can take questions at the end. Just so we can speed up the meeting a little. So I want to start with, some have recently received notification of a street flurry in their area. Not every area, but some have recently received it, and it starts next week. So if you guys did get a notice from PMI, it is a contracted company through street services, so they are legit. And they will be performing street slurries on certain streets in District 8. South of the 10, I did get some information, and some 8 and 10. So we're kind of on the borders of some of the District 8 ones as well. But there are some on the north side, south side, so they're all over our district. If you did receive it, or you know someone that received it, just let them know it is. They are performing, move your car or it's being towed. And they are, I believe they're using barricades to block off the street until it drives, to avoid anybody driving over. And making sure that drives correctly. 311, I appreciate those who have been inputting 311s and then sending them over to me for follow up. I did receive one yesterday, and it was a 311 that I also placed. There's been a couple, one off of Adams and I believe 3rd Avenue or 2nd. There's a refrigerator on that corner. Now there's something else, but there's a refrigerator on that corner for weeks. Followed up, got it picked up that day. Same with one down in Jefferson Park. But those 311s definitely help when we're putting them in right away. It avoids anybody picking them up and taking them elsewhere when we don't want them. But also it helps us get our streets cleaned a lot faster. As soon as you guys have seen an influx in refrigerators, so please put those in immediately, especially if they don't have any doors on them. We don't want anyone to be injured or stuck inside. So we've seen an influx of those. 311 those right away. Graffiti, there has been a bit of an increase. So please report them if you see anything that is concerning, or has any type of hate speech on there, send it to me right away, start the team out there right away. We recently had some, not in our area, for Unnc, but, in Lamar Park, and we were able to get crews out there, not just paint, but water pressure the next day to remove that. And then illegal dumping, you guys all have seen an increase as well. We are sending our crews out there to clean, but it does help when we're putting the 3-on-1s in, because sometimes they can get there faster than me going, driving, reporting and putting them on. Okay. I recently had a meeting with, Officer Ordos from South Traffic Division. He provided me with some online services tools for, South Bureau that, we can utilize. There is the QR code here that leads you to child car installation inspection reservations, traffic complaints and enforcement requests, the cadet program information, social media links, and latest community events. So that's all here. I printed a few for you. And I have more if anyone needs any. I'll leave these here. That is the reason why I had the meeting with him was because the increase in traffic safety, and everyone here has voiced it. Community members have voiced it. We've seen an increase everywhere, which is why Unnc is working really hard to help with traffic safety on the corridor that we've been discussing recently. Officer Ordas has requested that community members utilize this QR code to submit any traffic complaints or needs for traffic officers to come out. He would prefer the community members who are experiencing them to put them in versus myself. Reason being is he would really like for the individual who is experiencing it to be able to discuss it with him further versus getting it second or third hand. So if anyone has any concerns, please put them through there. If you'd like to request traffic officers in certain areas, i.e. Adams Avenue generally has traffic officers around 5th and 10th Ave, and that's requested through them because of the concern that they have there with traffic going north, south, and then on 25th. I've also requested near some schools where I've been getting requests for support as there's been blockages or double parking on the street around a few of our schools, Jefferson Park and in that. So these are, or sorry, in Kinney Heights, Garcia area. So these are the tools that you utilize. Scan the QR code, it takes you to the page, get familiar with it, and use it, because these are all resources that you all have within our. Next, I have Arlington Avenue update for the speed humps, or sorry, not speed humps. Let me go back. Speed tables between Adams and Jefferson. Recently got an update that they're waiting for the engineer to actually set a date for it, but it is looking like a 2026 completion date. So I'm still following up and partnering to get active updates on that location. That way we can be out there and see it. And try to and then for the other corridors, we're still waiting on the studies for Adams between Crenshaw and Arlington, mainly around Edgehill, 10th Avenue and Adams, as well as Jefferson. I submitted all the corners that are needed for red curves to be repainted, and any other issues that are affecting visibility for those who are attempting to cross over Jefferson, including supporting a slower street on 11th going down to Degman. So we requested a 4-way stop at 36th and 11th as people fly through there to get to the light, as well as right turns if you look on 11th Avenue and Milton. And as recently published, I can't think of it. The pilot program for the traffic cameras. There was a location that was submitted both on Arlington, closer to Washington, going north, and then one on Jefferson going east on from Crenshaw. So that's near Isana. So I'm really thankful that that one is on there because it will directly impact slowing the traffic near Isana. Which is one thing that they have been requesting support. So snaps for that. Caltrans, I've been working a lot closer with Terrence as the as LAPD had said, Terrence Gomes is our liaison for Caltrans. So everything that I submit, not only do I put it on our tracker, but I let him know right away. That way he can get crews out. And I'm seeing a lot more communication with Caltrans getting out there faster and understanding the severity of these situations that we've seen the last 6 months and longer, but most of the fires that have happened. So he's really taking that on headstrong and just making sure that he is in communication so we see action quickly. Montclair 28, 4200, we've seen some movement there. I'm still partnering with our neighborhood prosecutor, as well as Department of Building and Safety. There are some setbacks, but we are seeing them move on the overgrown vegetation and keeping it clean. Now, and all the doors are boarded up. Now we just need to get the house locked down. And so we're working on those next steps. But it's getting better. We just need to now just get it into somebody's hands to take care of it, as well as make sure that it is maintained and locked up. 2255 Adams. We are getting progress. There's an order to comply for the graffiti on the back. That way it can be cleared and clean soon. The property is locked down. And they haven't seen any remnants of anyone going in and out recently. And then 31st Street updates. I've been coordinating with AIM through LADBS to work on the Speedy Zone Tire Shop, as well as we have a up and coming cleanup for St. Andrews, as well as warnings coming out for the individuals who are there in the 4118. I will be going out there with our teams to hand out flyers so they do get those warnings and the information as to why it's such a sensitive area of English and Spanish. And that way they can understand when our senior leads do go out, they understand the whys, right? For next steps. As far as 31st Street, we have 2 properties suggested going to next steps with our city attorney, as well as orders to fly out. And I have our principal superintendents watching very closely, as well as working with the neighborhood prosecutor. If you guys see anything else that is happening, please let me know. I also was informed by our LADBS. I know there is some sensitivity with trying to remain anonymous, and they did recommend it is okay to put in the Department of Building and Safety. They are the ones that go out. They're the ones that take the report. They are the ones who show up to court, and all of your information is redacted. So your information is not out there for the public, nor do they give it if asked. So I just want to reassure you guys about that. It's really important to report these items, or even just send me an email or office an email so we can follow up on those and take action. That way there can be a paper trail for us to take next steps. Last but not least, we have Love Hut. That is on Sunday the 15th. It's going to be at our drum roll new office location on Crenshaw at 2922. I don't have a timeline for that location, but we will have our event there on Sunday the 15th. If you haven't signed up already, please do. It'll be fun. It'll be a nice way to meet the community, as well as just meeting people and go ahead. You know thing about parking. Yes, so we'll notify everybody about parking soon. We are still making those arrangements, have secured some buses, but we'll get some information out there for those of you because parking is limited. We'll get that information out. We're still working on it.
I think Colin, these are one.
Okay, and that's it for this.
Okay, so, I know we have questions in the room. Call-in user number one had his or her hand up for a while, but if you would please identify yourself and then ask your question. Call-in user number one,
Who's just muted themselves.
who just muted themselves.
Good evening. I'm a resident of a neighboring NC, but the reason I wanted to comment, thank you very much for validating the handout of the asphalt slurry project that's going to be taking place. I have two comments. While I know you're not responsible for the project, the issue is regarding the constituents of the city of Los Angeles. I noticed that on my handout, there was no, let me clarify this. In this multicultural sanctuary city, there's no, it's English only in the handout. I know my neighbors are multicultural, and I don't understand where a city of Los Angeles is paying a contractor, cannot understand their audience to provide at least some direction in terms of if they have any. It doesn't even have the if you have any questions to contact. That was one issue. And two, I understand the slurry project is to, as it stated, to preserve and to prevent erosion. While my street is not perfect, I cannot find the optics of this. The main thoroughfares, Washington, Venice, are filled with potholes, but you're going to spend the money to slurry my street? Perhaps rescheduling after a major rainstorm so that the work can be directed to those issues of severe potholes on the main thoroughfares, and then later, when a better time, to direct to the small neighborhood streets. Thank you for consideration, and I hope you take this information back to those who validated the project for you. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Ally speaking. I appreciate the comments and I will take that back.
Siobhan?
Obviously, we've had a picnic on Gramercy, you and me, about the encampments over there. I'm curious, you mentioned Caltrans, and Terrence has been bird dogging Caltrans, and we appreciate that. They never completed the cleanup between Western and Arlington, particularly the encampment that was at Western and Gramercy, where you and I met a couple weeks ago. So they never did finish that clear out. Now we have not two, but three encampments that have moved in since you and I last saw each other. And they've been throwing rocks over the wall, and there have been two cars that have been damaged by somebody on the other side of the Caltrans wall, hurling chunks of concrete and rocks over the wall. So I was taken out by a pretty severe cold last week. So on my list of things to do is to re-up with Caltrans, but I wanted to make you aware of that because another note is coming. And now we have a tree planting event that's scheduled for either for either April 9th or 11th. And we need to do something more permanent about this. We need to get it cleared out before that event, but we also need to have a serious conversation very soon about permanent abatement in that area, because now not only do we have fires and drug activity that I've talked about, but now we've got people throwing projectiles at residents and resident vehicles, and we need to do something about it. It feels like the rock throwing is retaliatory and it's malicious in intent. So the last thing we want is for someone to get hurt.
I can get that from Ally speaking. I can get that information to Terrence right away because that's a huge thing.
Okay, could we go, Chris Carlson speaking to the same point, could we go beyond just Terrence and maybe get the neighborhood prosecutor, attorney, the prosecutor involved? Because, you know, these projectiles are not necessarily directed line of sight. They're coming over a wall. They could hit anyone or anything. There are children that go to 23rd Street School and with me, I mean, it's not okay. And it represents a real hazard. So if we could get the city attorney involved, you know, something that takes a little more teeth than just we're moving you, please stay away, might be in order at this point.
I'll bring Ally speaking, I'll bring it to Terrence's attention, and give him that feedback. He's very good at his work. I trust that he'll do the right thing and get the appropriate people.
Super appreciate
Sam.
Family speaking, so I was staying on Second Ave, we just moving her, we have a neighbor who moved out of her home, and for whatever reason, she has that, U-Haul on our street, RV on our street, sometimes she drives her Benz, if not, it's on our street, as well as her other Volvo, and on street sweeping days like yesterday, and Wednesday, Thursday, and I area is very hard for us to park, because she told us down 3 spots. I spoke to her, I think you spoken to her, I feel that she moved her pod, and now she has an RV park in front of her where she used to live. And so it's becoming annoying. And
It is a nuisance, and I described the situation to you as to what I wanted to prevent, right? Because I know you have some items as well there. I will say this, and I say this to everyone. All cars are subject to the 72-hour rule on the street. As far as pods go, generally, unless there's a permit, you cannot leave it on the street for longer than also 72 hours. But for this issue and what has been happening, because it's not the only street that I've had an issue with the same person, we have to be very good at understanding the patterns and using the appropriate teams like DOT as far as submitting the abandoned vehicle, but sending it to me so I can have them look into it, and I'll partner with the senior lead officer, but I have connected with our office team to get support on next steps.
Then all she does is move them around, so they're not, you can't say they're really abandoned. She's just holding them out of the street, cause she'll move them on the day that, she'll move the RV, she'll move the cars and stuff, and then it's still, she doesn't live anymore with her cars are.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the situation is, it could be an unhoused situation, which is not what she communicated to me, but I can have another conversation with her with the senior team.
Well, right there, I mean, she sold the house for $700,000, we saw it on Zillow, so I don't know, something's going on with her. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I just have a Rabia, the abandoned car hotline, right? I call that number, I'll call for weeks and weeks and no one will ever come to look at the abandoned vehicle. And now some of them are maybe stolen because one was taken by the police. They're covering them on my street. And one of them we picked up just, because also if there's a cover, they don't give it a ticket. They just walk by it. They don't lift up the cover if it's not supposed to be parked there, even on a street sweeping day. We picked up, just pulled the cover up a little bit. There was a license plate and 7 tickets in the license plate. And we left it like that so that they would come. No one came, someone came and pulled the cover back down.
Yeah.
So I called the abandoned car line and they told me that they can't do anything.
So what I do is I don't call, I put in an online report, that way I have the date when they email you with the information. When you call, they don't generate a ticket number and nor do they online, but at least you have that physical email that you submitted the report. I understand that you can't submit a report without a license plate number. That's a little tricky, but if you are able to submit online, you can send it to me. Yeah.
And I'm talking to the abandoned car people and they have my information. And they say, you called 3 times, you called for the past 3 weeks, and there's just nothing else we can do. But I'll submit on.
Yeah, send it to me so then I can escalate the issue and say, hey, and what has been working for me is sending it to our DOT officer as well as our senior lead to say, hey, can we work together on this? So send it to me if it's becoming an issue, that way I can address it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, it's 8:06. Yay. So I'd like to, Colleen?
Quick. 40, Tires is at 4118 because it's holy name in the zone. Okay, so private schools, parochial schools are also considered target in the 41. And how, when there is a missing red, so it's 4th Avenue and 31st Street, the red curb is missing, and I'm not sure how to report it. Is that a 311?
You can put it on 311 under street repair problem, and you'll see a curb or Yes, and then you'll submit for red curve and send it to me so I can send it to our DOT.
Okay, the visibility there.
Well, Colleen, is the curb, the cement is missing, or
No,
just the red?
Just red.
Okay,
Just
so
not-
that's much easier.
Yeah.
I was thinking you were saying the curb was missing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Anything?
everybody.
Thank you. Email me. Okay. Daniel, thank you for your patience, if you're still with us. How are ya? This is our Department of Neighborhood Empowerment guy, or representative. Go ahead, Daniel. But now you're muted.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Daniel Johnson. I am the Neighborhood and Empowerment Advocate for UNNC, which means I am the liaison between the department and the Neighborhood Council. I'm going to go ahead and do us all a solid and say I'll email you your updates. There you go. Don't worry. I'm here in the background.
Okay, thank you. Well, I hope at least it's interesting for you. Okay, we are moving on to funding requests. Item 6A, this one is BAC. So UNNC has been talking about now for a couple of months, having an emergency preparedness workshop on Saturday, June 6th in this room during public safety month. And Kareem and Grace have been just initializing the planning. And what I had asked them to do is come up with a bit of a budget. So they came up with a budget of about $600 for refreshments and, maybe making printed materials. But the city clerk's office has not let us know if we will or will not require 1-day insurance for that event. Even though it'll be kind of like this, the workshop, computers and projection and speakers, but it's considered an event. It's not considered a board meeting. So we are asking for $1,000 to be approved at this meeting and approving that UNNC is sponsoring this event. We really anticipate that we won't need insurance in the end, and that we might only spend $600 or less, but we need an up to $1,000. And I don't know if there's anyone with questions. They're thinking, is this right, Kareem? You think that having 40 people, that's kind of what this budget's based on?
Yeah, that's our goal, or.
Well, yes.
Or,
Well, the room field sits 123, but we would love it if there's 40. We would love it for those board members who were unable to take the 6-month course to at least take the 1-day course, because the idea is that the more of us who are trained in some degree of emergency preparedness, the more of us will be able to help ourselves and then our neighbors if there is an earthquake in particular, or other emergency that we anticipate there will be an earthquake. So we learned at the first one, they take care of you first because you have to not step on glass, because then you won't be of any use to anyone else, but how to do it. So it's not going to be a mandatory board meeting, but we're hoping most board members will attend, and members will come, because we're trying to get to that magic number of 40. So what we need is, if there's no questions, is a motion. Well, actually, Kareen is making the motion on behalf of the Public Safety Committee to allocate $1,000
for refreshments for that week.
right, and to
cover the insurance.
well, yeah, but I was gonna say, and to present an event, that UNNC would be the event presenter.
Yeah.
So that's the motion. Is there a second?
Okay.
Yep, a lot of people seconded. Hunter seconds.
All right, let's see, Elizabeth,
And then Just, it's still
Okay.
in the what's going on. He can vote, but won't. Okay.
Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Hunter?
Yes.
Laura?
Yeah.
Joshua?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes,
Ed? For the record? There you go. I'm again, Green?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Siobhan?
Yes.
Heather?
Yeah.
Bobby?
Motion passes. Second, and is Teresa still here?
Teresa's still here.
Teresa's still here, so this is funding request 6B. And Teresa,
You don't need to do my public terms. Let me give everybody an update. There's a tree planting that's gonna happen at Queen First and Gramercy. LA Sand had a grant to plant trees. We wanted to try to get some native trees, and their grant only allows $100 a tree. The trees that we could get for Santa Cruz and Ironwood, they actually cost $150. Large accomplishment, Western Heights wants to cover their own.
Actually, that was probably overstated. We haven't actually.
Okay, but as it turns out, I got home this afternoon and the Devil Mountain Nursery, UFD went to evaluate the trees and they are not, even though they're in 15-gallon boxes or containers, they're not tall enough. So they haven't met the standard, and I don't know what the replacement is gonna be. I'll find out on Monday, what the recommendation is. So I was just going to try to
supplement.
yeah, supplement it so we could get the native trees, but I don't know what we're gonna do now, so I'll need to do that.
Are there other nurseries that, you know, with over time would be able to source that tree? Just,
I don't know, I know the UFD and LA Sand, I mean, they have these nurseries that they normally use.
Yeah.
And Devil Mountain is not normally something LA Sand uses, but UFD has used it, but in this case, they didn't follow.
right. Okay.
Okay, so we're tabling that. Item. Yes, then we're moving on. 6B. Each year, the Los Angeles Fire Department has a fire service day. And there's two kinds of fire service day event. One is that each bureau designates a fire station as the bureau's main event. So for our bureau, we're in South Bureau. That fire station is number 94. It's on Coliseum, so it's a little bit outside our footprint, but it's the designated fire station, and they have requested $1,680 for us to. We would have to be an event co-sponsor in order to do this, for us to purchase food food and supplies at Restaurant Depot and pay for the lovely Andy Gump porta potties. So that's their request. But again, this ends up converting into us being an event co-sponsor. And then second, our fire station number 26, which is within our footprint at Western and 20th basically. So they will essentially, they're gonna have a smaller local fire service day with the back doors open, so they open in Western Heights. And they too, I know Grace did the conversation, but they were requesting $1,300 for food and supplies. They don't need us to pay for an Andy Gunn. So if we want to do this, we would be doing 2 events on the same day. Grace, you will be the contact and person filling out the event request form for Fire Station 26. Probably be me filling out the event request form for Fire Station 94, the South Bureau event. And obviously we can do none of it without your blessing and approval. And the only other thing I can say is in the past, we used to support Fire Service Day wholeheartedly. We just spent $3,000 to $4,000. And it's an event that, well, especially children really love because they get to climb all over the fire trucks. and they get to meet the firemen and a few women. And I've seen the photos on UNC 2014 and 2013, and it's just gleeful families year after year. So it was always an event we supported. There hasn't been a lot of opportunity to do fire service since COVID hit. So that is the pitch. I obviously need to hear from board members. Executive committee did vote to recommend that we basically spend the total, but that is really completely up to you. Sandra.
What's the date of that?
It's Saturday, May 9.
May 9. And do we want to have like a table out there?
Well, we will definitely have a table at Fire Station 26, which is here. Because among other things, this is sort of a side note, the February 21st Leslie Shaw Park table with our green master plan was so successful that we want to take that show on the road and go visit all of our neighbors' events during the spring and summer. And Caesar had the same look you do. It's like, do you mean I have to do all of them? It's like, no, we'll divide the work.
Okay, but what was that for? The mobility?
No, not the mobility, the green.
Oh, the green.
Our UNC master green.
This is a lot of money for two events that are happening on the same day, and one of them is not even in our district.
It is a lot of money. What else are we doing with the money?
I mean.
No, I'm just saying.
I think that, I smelled a fire the other night. And it would be nice to support the firemen. I don't think it matters where the fire truck's coming from.
Well, and it is true that Fire Station 94 does service our southwest area. It just happens to be a little bit outside. I mean, our boundaries are not their boundaries. So we are in their service.
Yeah, if we have it in the budget and, we think we're gonna run out of time to spend it, then 100%.
Yeah, well, Candace says we do have it in the budget. I know Candace is not on the call, but as executive, she said we had it in the budget. So, but that doesn't mean you have to say yes. I'm just saying, we have the money. We're moving towards the end of the year, noting that the last time we can even vote to expend money is May. So we're just 2 months away from when we're done spending.
Yes.
I don't just want to say I do events all the time for work. These are very affordable rates.
Yeah, but I'm sure we're just putting in, a portion of what we're spending.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and yes.
Did we make a motion for each of them?
Yeah, we have
Or
to have
just-
2 motions because it's 2 events.
Okay.
And 2 amounts of money.
So you want to call the question?
Well, questions. So yes. I'm sorry, I got my back to you all on the screen. Did anybody have any questions? Okay, so we will need 2 separate motions. I don't care which order, but I will state it, but someone else should make it.
I'll motion one for a brief event for co-sponsorship with South Europe in May. And for the expense of 1,680, which will go towards the expenses of the restaurant, food and supply, the rental for Andy.
I second.
Okay, so Corinne moved, Sandra seconded. $1,680 for food, supplies, and rentals.
Okay, Elizabeth,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Joshua,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Edward, absolutely for the record.
Name.
There we go. Michelle,
Yeah.
I'm a yes, Marie,
Yes.
Chris,
Abstain.
Yvonne,
Abstain.
Sandra,
Yes.
and Rabia.
Yes.
Okay, so that would be C2.
Okay. One.
Oh, C1, sorry. And then this C2 is whoever's gonna move this, station 26.
So I move for us to co-sponsor the fire service event at Station 26 for food and supplies with the amount of 1,300.
I'll second
Yes,
that.
I second.
Second.
Seconds.
Right.
Yes.
All right, very good. Elizabeth? Hunter?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Joshua?
Yes.
Joe?
Did you say show? I'm sorry, did I miss it? Yes, sorry, yes.
Edward?
Abstain.
Michelle?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Green?
Yeah.
Chris?
Abstain.
Shalon?
Yes.
Sandra?
Yeah.
Rabia?
Yes. Okay, so now we have 6D, My Serenity Sanctuary. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for your patience.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Gina Davis. I'm with My Serenity Sanctuary. We've been talking with the neighborhood council for a couple of months regarding our event that we're having on Saturday, September 19th, 2026. It's our self-care summit. And it's gonna be a wonderful event. I didn't bring enough. I didn't know there was gonna be so many people. Oh, yes, so many people that were gonna be attending tonight. But we are requesting $2,500 as a deposit for the space. The event is going to be at the Peace Awareness Labyrinth in Gardens. They're opening up their beautiful space to us for the community in West Adams. And this is only a portion of the cost that we're asking for. The entire space is $10,000, but we're only asking for $2,500 from this committee. Laura, I think you probably want to tell them that the executive committee met on this.
Yes, executive committee did meet on this, and again, we're forwarding this to the board with a recommendation of yes, and yes, we have enough money in the budget and for MPGs. You know, when executive recommends, it does not mean you have to agree. Yeah? And so they have filled out for the MPG. I'm just putting this on so that you're doing this official. So it's a little different than the request we just handled. This is not our event. This is somebody else is doing an event. But they are a nonprofit 501c3
in West Adams.
Located
in the lovely West Adams.
In UNC.
We live in West Adams and our event is going to be in West Adams.
So with a nonprofit grant, we are able to have the city write a check to the organization and then they in turn spend it. So it's still sort of third party, but we don't have to jump through the event hoops for this. So as you can see, the total projected cost is $10,000, and that is for the venue. I'm sure you have other costs.
Yeah, we have other costs, but you don't have to worry about those. Just the venue cost, which is, and we're just only asking for a fraction.
Right, so I'm gonna stop and share.
This is gonna be a wonderful event. We definitely want all of you to attend it. We're going to have speakers, workshops, sound baths, yoga, all the things that can just help us just feel so much better about ourselves. It's open to the entire community. And we're just really excited to partner with you. Well, to have you partner with us by giving us this.
So are there any questions, comments?
Chris Carlson, when you came before, you brought some pictorial and written materials about the event.
Yes.
And the event sounds lovely, but one of the things that you talked about being inclusive, but none of the photography and none of the text was particularly inclusive. And even here it states it's for Black women. And so if you roll forward, are you going to include in your written and pictorial language
Absolutely,
that it really is open
absolutely.
to
It's,
everyone?
it's open to everyone.
Okay.
Absolutely, it's open to everyone. Our organization, we primarily support self-care, well-being, and advocacy for Black women and girls. So that's our
Right.
population.
But for the event,
But for the event itself, it's open to everyone.
okay,
Everyone.
and that'll be,
And that'll be,
Communicated.
yes, it'll be communicated,
'cause
it'll be
I went to your
showcased.
website and it didn't really pop out that it was encouraging the whole community. And so I just wanted to make sure for the event.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
I would love for you to come.
I'll try to come.
Yes. And men as well. Yeah, and men.
Men and boys are welcome.
Yeah, yes. And everyone is welcome to our self-care.
And
Okay, Show King has her hand up. Show,
Yes,
go ahead.
yes, I do. Just a real quick statement to the young lady who mentioned about inclusivity with regards to the event. I'm not a part of the event. I don't know about the event, but speaking as a Black woman, usually when it says inclusivity, it doesn't automatically include everyone unless it specifically states only Black women. And so sometimes I think sometimes when we mention Black women, that's the code for someone else to say it's not for me, but that's you excluding yourself. And so I'm stating that to say, usually Black women and Black ran events, it's inclusive for everyone. And a lot of other folks look at that and exclude themselves. And so being a part of the Black women community in general and on the whole, I'm stating that as my experience and sharing with you, it's never excluding you, but sometimes other communities don't particularly include Black women. So when we say that, we're including ourselves and others, but we're making sure that we are not discluded in those spaces. So I just wanted to make that statement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, clock that, clock that, clock that.
So, this is Laura speaking, and I have not looked at the website, I've not seen the event promotions, but I would think, based on what Chris was saying, perhaps just consider as you do your social media, diversify the folks.
Yes.
yes,
That's all you need to do,
specifically try to include everyone. I think here.
but that's all, just diversify.
I would love to make a motion to accept this request and fund the $2,500. If anyone wants to second that.
So. I'll second. Okay, so we're spreading our seconds around, so.
Always after I type it out.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Joshua,
Yes.
Joe.
Yes, yes, yes.
Enthusiastic, yes. Edward? Yes. Michelle?
Yeah.
I'm a yes. Kareem?
Yeah.
Chris?
Yes.
Siobhan?
Yes.
Sandra?
Yes.
Fabio?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're flipping to the second side, and it looks like it's really long. So here's the thing, we have 3 land use items. I would like to go in out of order. I'd like to go in first order, actually. Because we have an applicant here on item C, we have community members here on C and B, or I think they're here for both B and C. And then the number A, the open space, I don't think we necessarily have anybody here for. Am I correct for the Jefferson Park people that you're here for both B and C? Or just B? Okay.
ENC for me.
Okay, so let's do C because we have, again, the applicant, if Gary's still here, and you are, hi Gary. And Gary, I'm hoping you can go real quick through the presentation and I need to give you privileges. And answer the questions from last night. Hang on a second. So this is Gary Benjamin, say hello, I'm making.
Hi, everyone.
making him a co-host. This is for item 7C, case number CPC 2024-3112 DB VHCA. I had to say that for the transcript. A mixed-use development proposed at 2800 West Jefferson Boulevard. And it would result in the construction of a new 70,800 square foot, 6-story, 70-foot high commercial and multifamily building with 70 units, 9 of which are very low income. Okay. Gary has his thing up on the screen already.
Yep.
All right.
And just to confirm, so let's see, I'm just gonna, did it go to the next slide? Sometimes it doesn't work. Are you seeing just still the cover sheet? Okay. Yeah, I don't know why that happens sometimes. Let me try to, when I go full screen mode, it doesn't always work. So how about now? Is that
No, nothing at all.
okay? Let me try to reshare them. Let's see.
Okay.
Okay, how about now? Is that
Yes, there we
okay?
go.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, so good evening. I'm Gary Benjamin of Alchemy Planning and Land Use. I'm representing the owner of the project at 2800 Jefferson Boulevard. This is the site. This is at the intersection of Jefferson and 8th Avenue. So it's currently improved with a auto body shop, as well as one single family home as well. The site, it includes these 4 parcels altogether, here on the southwest corner of Jefferson and 8th. These are just additional images of the area. Trying to just move quickly for now, and then can address any questions or go back to things in greater detail. Here is the design of what we're proposing. Laura already mentioned some of the project details, but just to confirm, it's 70 dwelling units, and that's a mixture of 10 studios, 21 bedrooms, 35 2-bedrooms, as well as 5 3-bedrooms units in the building. And then of those, 9 of them would be very low income, which, just to give you an idea, that's like 1,045 for a 2-bedroom, 929 for a 1-bedroom, 1161 for a 3-bedroom. That's kind of the rents. The project also includes 45 parking spaces and 68 bicycle parking spaces in the building. And then what you're seeing here, so this is a commercial space at the corner. And then there would be 5 levels of residential above. And these materials, this is like a wood tile material. And then there would be different colors of stucco, some landscaping along Jefferson, and then glass balconies and railings. So this is looking at the 8th Avenue side. So that's where the entrance, this would be the lobby entrance to the residential portion. And then the commercial space would have the entrance on the corner. And then we just have one additional view of that. And then in terms of the layout of the project, restaurant space at the, like I was saying, it's a commercial space. I think we're not 100% sure who the tenant would be. So it could go either restaurant or retail at this time on the corner. 45 parking spaces here at the ground floor, lobby entrance off of 8th Avenue, landscape strip shown here along Jefferson, and then also adding new street trees along Jefferson and 8th Avenue in front of the location. The project itself, it will have a central courtyard area that will be landscaped for residents. And then the building, it's kind of like the ground level takes up essentially the whole lot, but then stepping up on the second level, you can see then it's set back for some patios. So the building doesn't take up like the full size of the site. And then the other units or the other levels are just kind of the same repeating floor plan pattern. I'll skip over some of these details unless anybody wants me to get into them further. The Metro Local 38 runs along Jefferson, the 210 runs along Crenshaw, and then there's also the LADOT dash in the area, and then the Expo line to the south of the site. And the things that we're requesting, do you want me to go through those, Laura, or what kind of level of detail are you looking for here?
normally would want the level of detail. I now have found the long ago RLA transcript from our planning and zoning committee meeting of November 2024. I can't believe this goes back that long. And so we weren't very concerned about those details. I found the transcript with the concerns and the vote from them. So basically they're asking for, like so many projects, a lot of waivers of development standards and incentives for zoning, and under current state law, pretty much the planning commission or the planning department, depending who makes the decision, doesn't have a lot of rights to say no anyway. So our suggestions had nothing to do with this. So that's it.
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, yeah, I don't want to, belabor things too much, but I can either go through these or if there are, things that you found in the notes. The specific, I also took notes of the things that you brought up last night as well, and I sent an email actually earlier in the meeting just with some responses to those items. So basically, however you want to proceed, I'm happy to kind of provide info as it's useful. So
Email during the board meetings, but
My one question about this is what is 3.33 FAR instead of 1.5? What is that?
So essentially FAR, what that stands for is the floor area ratio. So basically it's a ratio of the amount of square feet in the building as compared to the lot size. So and so the base zoning for the site is 1.5. So basically that means, I think in this case the lot is like 22,000 square feet. So that means normally that would permit like what's that, like 33,000 square feet, something like that. And we're proposing basically like 3.33 times the lot area as floor area instead of 1.5.
Okay, cool, thank you.
okay. So I have located your email and we'll go through some of the questions we asked last night. So one of the questions that had been my question, they're going to have 44 or 45 parking spaces total. And they, remember, under state law, don't need to require have any. I mean, so they are providing parking. It's not the amount of parking most people would like to see. I had asked, would some of the 44 spaces be for the commercial use? Because my concern is also that we don't want either a vacant commercial space because no one wants to rent it, because even they couldn't park themselves at their store, or they wouldn't think customers could. But the architect apparently did already, I'm reading now on email, study the possibility of adding a commercial space, and they would lose too many spaces if they had to provide a designated commercial parking area due to the need for residential parking to be separate and secured from the public commercial parking. And since the parking entrance is off the alley, it would anyway not be especially easy for customers to find. So that's their answer to us. It doesn't mean we can have to accept. Curbside loading. There are currently 2 driveway entrances on Jefferson, 2 driveway entrances on 8th Avenue. They will be eliminated with all parking access provided from the alley. This will allow for additional parking. But they have not yet confirmed with LADOT to see if they would allow them to create either yellow or white zoning. Light white loading zone along the street, but we'll inquire about this during the permitting phase. So Gary, the question was actually ride share, not just not just commercial loading. Where would the ride share be designated? And it could be in the alley. Even, I know it can be. AB 2097, the site is eligible for 2097. Europe is because of the intersection of Crandall and Jefferson proximity. It was brought up last night by one of our participants, but I think is still with us tonight, that the Jefferson bus doesn't seem to have the same amount of service that is required, but the planning department determined that this project is eligible for AB 2097, which is the law that allows you not to have any parking.
I would urge the board to consider that the law states that a bus needs to travel 20-minute headways, and Jefferson travels 30 at the most. Most of time is 40 to 50. So it does not qualify. I don't know if they were presented with that information, but that's in violation of the law.
Right, and as Gary said, it also services Midtown Dash. So I don't know, I mean, not it services, Midtown Dash services Jefferson. So I don't know, David, if having two different bus lines, which together might reach that 20-minute goal count. Did you know?
So I could speak to that briefly because I think, David, yeah, that's astute that the 38 bus, you're right, does not have the frequency. I think, you know, you could question whether this is what the city's policy should be on this, but it's my understanding, what I stated in the email to Laura, and I didn't have a chance to hear from the planner directly to confirm what their assumptions were at the time, but their policy, and this dates all the way back to like the TOC program, was for any dash line to be a qualifying line, even if it is not, that dash line is not meeting the 15-minute headways specifically, because the way that it's written is about if it's like a planned route. And so I don't want to get too much into the weeds because, like I said, that's something I'm happy to, you know, you can follow up on or we could discuss separately. But I think it's established in like the regional transportation plan for the area that the city's intention is to reach 15-minute headways with the LADOT dash routes. And that technically met the requirement because it's a planned 15-minute route. And so again, don't shoot the messenger, but I think that's what their policy was on that.
Okay, so let me move on. I checked, you know, I was tasked with finding, if I could, the transcript from our previous meeting, so we could remind ourselves what we had recommended, what we had discussed, and what we had recommended to the board. We very seldom have a case that's on hold for more than a year. So we met with them at the first planning and zoning meeting of November 2024. This is a long gap. And I did find it. So here are the other items. We had a motion at planning and zoning to support this project, and then we had conditions. And I'll go through what we discussed, but I want to tell you up front, in the end, we had a split vote. So we were going to be bringing it forward to the board without an actual recommendation, but we have to take it. But this is what we discussed. And by the time we got there, just like we're aiming for tonight, people were beginning to leave. So there have been more people on the meeting. So one thing, and Teresa, you might remember this, but she's not listening. We actually suggested that they remove one more parking space. And they have a center atrium, and instead of having a parking space beneath a spot there, have it be a dirt well, so they can plant a more significant tree in the atrium. Now, this sounds like a way outside the box idea, but that was one of our ideas. So explore, that was please explore. We had a discussion about the material on the wall is like a ceramic tile, but there was a lot of discussion about what would it sound like in the rain for the tenants who live there. Would it be noisy? And Gary's thought, and the architect's thought, is it wouldn't be noisy because it's vertical. Sometimes is wind blown, but we were going to ask a question about that. So the reason they chose this material was, you know, they didn't want to steal a building. I mean, they wanted something that was creative and in the architect's view, somewhat evocative of the houses in the neighborhood. You know, I don't think most of us look at that as evocative, but our question had to do with noise and ambience for the people who live there. And we also, one of the waivers they're asking for is a waiver of what's called transitional height. We questioned that, but again, that's going to be something the city automatically will want to put in. But we also asked on the rear where they have some open decking, could the walls be higher so that to the extent that the family, you know, whoever's living there has entertainment on the outdoors, that the sound can be more muffled. to not travel, so to raise the walls. So that was to be the motion, and I have no problem adding David's Zach's question of questioning the planning department as to does it really, meet the AB 2097. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but it's fine to add that, but in the end, we split on our vote. So, we have half people who were still in this planning committee, half voted yes and half voted no, so we don't have a full recommendation. The other thing is that the community members who had been in attendance, so there was a lot of people in the room in attendance, and then it whittled down. But a lot of the Jefferson Park community members were very concerned about the height at 6 stories. I will tell you that it's again not something easily to change. And I have to say personally, the difference between November 2024 and March of 2026 is of perception. I'm looking at this and saying, oh, thank God it's not 8 stories at this point. But there was a sentiment in the room from the community, people who live near it, that it was too tall for Jefferson. It's rather.
I mean, is that gonna be like something that's not gonna precedent now? We'll have already thought.
Yeah, first of all, they have now approved multiple, they meaning planning, have now approved multiple 6 to 8 story buildings on Jefferson. So that's what I'm saying. Contextually, I mean, by holding this for more than a year, it's kind of a different context. But anyway, that's the planning and zoning department. I know David was here for that, and Colleen, anything, other neighbors, I don't know who else is still here. You get to discuss, vote. I mean, and a motion needs to be made that because planning and zoning doesn't have a motion, because we have a split vote. So a motion to support, a motion to not support, a motion to support, as we were trying to do from planning and zoning with some conditions, with that list of conditions. Conversation.
I mean, I would like to make a motion to support, but I feel like I'm gonna be in the minority of that right now.
I'm just not able to make the motion.
Well, are we adding, conditions to that, or is it just support?
Well,
About so much condition, how did that want to do?
I was just gonna make a motion to support, which is why I said I was gonna be in the minority.
I would second.
I'll make a motion to support.
Would now you open it up for discussion, so now we can start talking about it.
Chris.
I would ask a friendly amendment that you support with the condition of maybe the higher wall on the patios to protect sound from the adjacent residential neighborhood. I don't think any of us are enamored with the scale of the buildings, but the state and the city have green lighted this, and we don't really have a lot of control. But there are certain things about this project in terms of the actual unit sizes are quite decent. They have studios, 1 bedrooms, and 2 and 3 bedrooms, which we don't see a lot of these projects coming in. 45 parking and bike parking and commercial that would benefit the community. So it's not a perfect, anything, but part of the imperfect is something that the city and the state have taken kind of our leverage off of. But like I said, today's world could be 8 stories, but I do respect that they didn't build closet houses. I think I have the square footage.
450 square feet for a
Studio.
and 700 something square feet for a 1 bedroom. It's not, these are not small units.
Yeah, so people actually have livable housing, and we do have a housing crisis, and it is important that we move to try to address that need. So I would, you'll accept that
100%.
amendment?
I like that.
I'll raise hand from Steve.
Steve.
Okay, my man.
Steve.
Thank you. So I'm Steve Peckman. I live in Jefferson Park, not far from this proposed construction. My recollection of the Planning and Zoning Committee is that though the state and city may have rules, it doesn't mean that this board needs to support a project in which the scale, the massing and the height are totally out of scale with the neighborhood. That it's almost 80% to 90% market rate housing. This is only a few number of the units are very low income housing. The fact that South Los Angeles has to shoulder a disproportionate amount of this kind of construction because our property values are lower than other parts of the city places an incredible burden on our community to shoulder the housing crisis where other parts of Los Angeles are not having to provide similar amounts of housing. The UNC area has done an amazing amount of affordable housing construction. And I just think that this kind of project, though the state and the city may mandate it, this board does not have to support it. Thank you.
To me, very affordable housing units is better than 0. And just because other places aren't holding their share doesn't mean then we're just gonna give up and not build either. That doesn't seem to be congruent with.
I think this does seem to be one of the less egregious ones.
Yeah, totally. And also somebody said that they just greenlit a bunch of 6 and 8 story buildings along Jefferson. So it does seem like it matches the rest of the neighborhood.
With the Neiman.
The commercial.
Yes.
The commercial.
Yes.
I thought I saw, they didn't. Not Teresa, how do you hear me? Okay. I mean, it was out of the corner of my eye, I saw, yeah.
Okay, real quickly, this is Teresa Mason for the record. I want to agree with Steve that just because these are state standards, we don't have to follow those. And I'm somebody who's like, we don't have to follow anybody, we can do whatever we want. But we could. Yeah, we can. No, we don't have to, we can take a stand if we choose to. I'm not saying we should do it on this, I'm just saying I agree with Steve on that. But what I do want to point out is that they are providing parking and they are not required to provide parking. And I know that we're really dense in that area, so the idea that they did make accommodations for the to put in 45 spots, I think is something we should know.
Well, and Teresa, I'll remind you, you were on the yes side because we added in the recommendation that never went. Taking out one parking space and putting in the.
I'm cool to add that in the recommendation as well.
Another recommendation if you want to add.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
The only caveat on this is obviously a recommendation to them, I think is that a large canopy in the middle of an area may reduce some of the sun exposure for the people that are living there, and I think they're reporting with areas to get sun and this.
Or they could hear birds and then they could experience the wellness that comes from the energy of the tree.
I'm fine.
I'm fine including it. No, saying they need.
Yeah, we gotta go.
One thing, Elizabeth better. I think this is happening. We need the housing. But those of us who live in, like, there's a fourplexes in our neighborhood, and the people who live in those fourplexes feel so lucky. You know, they're just these tall ceilings and the spacious and these windows and this light, and they feel lucky. And I want the people who are here, it's not me, I want the people here to feel lucky to have what they have, to feel like they're on their way to something. So I am about ownership, actually. And the second thing is, I think we need to push the state, at this point, the city and the state, to make sure that services and products are within walkable distance. Because we live in a shopping desert. We don't have it in walking distance.
Sorry.
We don't have bodegas, we don't have places like that. So if you're density in here like this, for us, then these folks need commercial services.
Right. So, and the other thing I do want to point out, you know, this is Laura speaking. I've been making this little speech kind of now repeatedly that the quote 100% affordable housing projects that are being proposed in our neighborhood are for low income and moderate income. low income is now $85,000 a year for an individual, which I, that is low income.
It would be very low.
That's low, yeah, that's low income. It does not match the income of our community. And to me, that is what a person who built an apartment building like this, that is the audience they're already aiming for. That this is 9 very low income, which more matches our community. I'm happy. It's just that it's only 9 units, but that's what the requirement is.
And it's all up just under 13% of the actual building.
Right,
Which is not,
but it's quite likely that the other units at quote market rate will be for the folks who are in the low, who would otherwise be in a low income building. Only these are sizable units. And they're not 250 square feet like the one on Jefferson and Arlington. The Burger Palace site where there's 100 units, but they're all closets.
Yeah, we've had requests come in that are like 70 units. 4 or 10 of them will be low income, 1 will be very low.
Right.
So this is a little bit better.
Right, and I might add, I'm on my little soapbox, Laura speaking again.
Almost
Yeah,
9 p.m., guys.
Yeah, 2 more. Yeah, you don't wanna do that. No. Not this second. We have 2 more projects proposed that we probably won't even get to weigh in on. Just north of here on Wilton and on St. Andrews, each like 60 or 70 units, 100% low, low, but both of them involve, excuse me, houses that the developers burned down to get them off the land. So this also doesn't involve that. This is the developer is the longtime owner of the land. So, okay, so we have a motion on the floor.
I would also just look at this photograph, the amount of window to wall space and that it wraps all the way around the building with an interior atrium means that people aren't just giving a little window to peek out at the world, and balconies. So, yeah, would I like it to be 4 stories? Yes. But I think it does, compared to lots of options that come before us, I think it can bring real needs to the neighborhood, and there's 2,000 square foot of retail commercial space on the site.
So, and if this motion passes, I clearly will write in our letter that the community is very concerned about the height and the fact that we are in fact absorbing far more housing than other parts of the city. I mean, there is no reason not to include that in our letter.
Yeah.
If this motion passes.
Did we get a second?
We did.
All right, so we're ready now? Yes.
Hunter?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Joshua?
No.
Resounding.
No.
Joe?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Michelle?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Corinne?
Abstain.
Chris?
Yes.
And sorry, Edward?
Staying.
Chris is a yes. Siobhan?
Yes.
Sandra?
Abstain.
And Rabia?
Yes.
Gentrification.
Yeah,
All right, please circulate that letter around to us before you send it out so that we can address all the areas of law that are applicable to this project, not just the ones that were discussed here tonight.
Yes, I can do that. What I will do, Joshua, I'm not gonna circulate it, I'll write an email, but I will upload it to a Google Drive. Because what we cannot do is discuss it via email.
Totally understand, whatever we need to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's fine, and then we can probably put the letter on the executive committee agenda as well, so we can have a little discussion, but. I mean, we just can't discuss anything.
But Laura, do we not just vote to support this project?
Yes.
So why don't you take that out of executive?
No, to be able to post the letter, he wants everyone to be able to see the letter before it's sent out, and I'm saying. That
You're
I'm
saying
just
what?
trying to be
Because they didn't voted to have a letter of support. Normally what the pattern is, they would go to our website where all of the letters that UNC.
Oh, no, I can't just write a letter like this without.
Without what?
No,
Because the board just voted.
no, whatever the final letter I write has to be approved by 2 other officers. That's how we've been doing it for years.
Okay.
I'm just trying to be, we have a request from a board member who said, can I circulate the letter before it is sent to the planning department? I can't, my answer was, I can put it in the Google Drive and alert the board that it's there, but we can't discuss it in email because that would violate the Brown Act.
So we can read the letter and make comments on the letter in the Google Drive.
No.
No, it's done.
Oh, it's done. Oh, we'll just look at.
You can scream and yell at Laura if needed, just one-on-one, but I will put it on the executive agenda so that we can transparently scream and yell at Laura if you don't like the letter, because it's in the public view. I mean, in other words, I heard the request. I think it's fine. There's not an emergency. The hearing is not in the next 10 days unless it is. It's not.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
What's the final vote?
The final vote was 8 in favor, 2 opposed, 3 abstentions, and 6 absent.
Yeah, so abstentions count as a no when you're tallying that it does, the motion does.
My final vote is no, so I ain't in that.
Okay, all right, review, we're doing 7B, review. Okay, well,
Well, thank you all. Okay, all right, have a good night.
Bye-bye.
the agenda item is complicated at this point. Review of prior UNC recommendation, case number 2024-7062, CUB. This was a carried forward agenda item from planning and zoning. We tabled it and requested instead, and then I'll explain why we've got people here regarding it. The council office has agreed to ask for an extension of comment time. And I have been requested by one of the community members to have us also do a motion that we would request the zoning administrator to extend the time to allow the community and the applicant. So that's not including us necessarily. I mean, we're community members, but not including the UNC. More time to, Colleen, what was your wording? There was, sorry, but more asking for an extension of time. The problem is that we again have reviewed the Hidden History Museum's request to serve alcohol, to be able to serve alcohol and sell the alcohol to help support their history museum. We did that back, our vote was back in January and February of 2025. The case has also been on hold for a long time. During the period after our vote, it came to the attention of the community through the loud music, through the traffic, through the parking issues that the Hidden History Museum is already having for them before they have a conditional use permit. So that our letter that we wrote addressed that. So the letter, which is on our website, the letter both addresses, UNC letter both addresses that we have voted to support. Here's the reasons why, but that the community has these other concerns and issues, and here they are. It's a fairly long list. And that was also what we said at the public hearing. We put this back on the agenda because we were thinking that, the deadline is April 1, but it became fairly clear last night that the applicant still isn't clear on what he really needs in terms of an application. It seems there's a disconnect between what he's asking for and what he's actually doing. It seems more like he needs a conditional use permit to run an event space, not a bar that sells liquor, which is a different kind of permit. But here we are in the middle of a process. Council office, sounds like they fairly strongly support the Hidden History Museum and its owner. That he's prominent culture person in the African American world. So, I mean, it kind of became apparent that the community was being asked rather strongly that it come up with conditions they can live with, as opposed to the council office saying, we'll support you and we'll ask the zoning administrator to reject it. So, you know, usually as a neighborhood council, we're seeking collaboration and a result that everybody is happy with, the consensus. It doesn't seem possible here. It seems that what's going to happen here is compromise, that the owner is going to have to do some compromising and the community is going to have to do some compromising. So that's not ideal, because when you end up with a compromise solution, nobody got what they wanted. But it's better, I'm gonna say, it's better than the US Congress, where there's winners and losers. So, but that's what it seems. So I was planning to table this tonight. Pauline asked me instead, would I see if the board would be willing to at least consider a motion to write a letter to the zoning administrator asking for more time for the community and for the applicant to work some things out if they can.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, you're saying sure, but I'm not sure. If you want.
I make a motion that we write a letter to ask for an extension of time, so there's ample opportunities for both parties, the community and the purveyor of the site, to meet and resolve what are real issues. They've been clearly communicated, and with the proper conditions, there could be a guardrail that not only can bring it into livability for the neighborhood, but also there's a guardrail that then you can enforce. But right now there are no conditions on the building, so there's nothing can be enforced. So I hope that there's a successful establishment of stringent conditions so it's a workable space for the community and for the project.
Right. And I do want to second. Thanks for that. I should bring it back as yeah, I understand. Okay.
Board membership.
Hang on. And we do want to say that I asked very strongly last night of Hakeem. I spoke to Ali today. I said we need a paper trail. I want, it's Council District 10 writing to the ZA, writing, not calling, writing them and making this request. And I want to see your letter, your memo, and I want to see their agreement in writing. Because I am not immune to, you might be that, calling a Zoom 20-minute meeting later this month if we have to, if there's not agreement to extend the deadline. But, I don't want to spend 2 hours here tonight either. Okay, we've got hands, LB9 and one other. So LB, go ahead. Yeah. Who seconded?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm LB Nye. I'm in Jefferson Park. I'm very close to the venue.
You're good. Go ahead. Go ahead, LB. We were having a little technical issue here. Go ahead.
So I'm LB Nye. I'm in Jefferson Park. I'm very close to the venue. And I just want to say I very strongly support the idea of UNC writing a letter saying extend the deadline. It doesn't have to be a complicated letter. It doesn't have to take a position. Just say, we know the people are trying to talk to each other. Please give us more time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know who the other.
It was.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. My concern with the project mainly is the financials with regards to the community that we're in, being able to apply and move in. If I'm looking at it right now, and 85K is the point that they're trying to make. Could we, people even sitting here, could y'all qualify for that?
We're already voted on that. We're on to the next project, the hidden museum.
And it's up to 85, not Let's have it.
Yeah.
We just.
Okay.
But could you, yep,
Okay, Steve.
Thank you, Steve Peckman, Jefferson Park. I was at the meeting last night. I spoke to a number of people today in Jefferson Park, and we all are in agreement with LB Nye that a simple letter requesting an extension so the community and the Hidden History Museum can come to closure in a collaborative negotiation with the help of CD10. And we hope that the zoning administrator would be amenable to an extension. Thank you.
So shall we
copy.
vote? So we can call the question. Thank you. So.
Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Hunter?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Joshua?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes,
Ed?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yeah.
I'm a yes. And Sharon?
Yes.
Sandra?
Yeah.
Kareem?
Yeah.
And Rabia?
Yes.
And Chris, yes.
Oh,
Yeah, good too.
sorry.
That's okay. Okay, we have a couple of things. I'm gonna just, I know, we're not gonna do all of them in any detail. On the open space element preliminary draft, there is no way we're gonna finish that starting at 9:12 p.m. The planning and zoning committee had a fairly good discussion about this last night. What it is that the city planning department is updating their open space element. What are the elements? We have a general plan that's at the top, and then right below that, there's 8 or 10 different, what they call elements. One is the housing element, you've been hearing a lot about it. One is the mobility and transportation element, that's the thing that's causing the things on the street. The open space element, the last time it was updated was 1973. So they're further updating it. What I'd like to say is we had a very nice discussion. We didn't finish, but the comments are due on the end of the month. So I'm gonna work offline with maybe our green committee and draft a letter. I'll take it to executive. So we don't need to do it tonight, if that is okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay, no motion needed. We have tabled. So Elizabeth's gonna do the very same thing with the climate plan letter. And the table now, bring it to executive. Leslie Shaw Park, anniversary of that.
Okay. Thank everyone who came out and volunteered and helped. Rachel was there, Kareem and Josh. Josh had some union members come out and help early stuff to table. Hunter was out there. And I just want to say thank you for, like I said before, teamwork makes the dream work. I just want you to see all the things we have printed up. These cards are just fabulous. The family Valley Shaw is also on the board of library commissioners. She came, her family came out there. This was just, they love this. And our flyer and Hunter and Laura did this. And status and English. So this is fabulous. And the California State Senate gave us a, what is this called? A certificate of recognition. United Neighborhood Council, Legislature Park, rededication 10th anniversary, community health and resource fair, February 21st, 2026, celebrating the enduring legacy of Leslie and Ann Shaw and their selfless contribution to the Los Angeles community. It was signed by 15. So we think that they would like to do this maybe every year in February. It would be good to have a community health and resource fair. And we also have like 2 suggestions. Some of the stuff that we did for outreach, we can have one of those fabulous, it was like a postcard turned into a magnet. So we have some people that get people that can put up on their, refrigerator. And we wanted to also do a little note for people that like the vendors that came out. I did an email to everybody. Y'all saw that, and we can just thank everybody for coming out and participating.
We wanna have those go for it, and I believe we came under budget, but I'm not.
Yeah, you did.
sure.
Yeah, the printing, all of that printing
Yeah.
was $552.
Nice.
So
With the
we-
big
we-
banner and everything?
We didn't do that. They couldn't use the file.
I didn't read that, but I believe it.
Yeah. So, just for everybody, to do a banner, it needs to be a vector file. I don't know what a vector file is, but,
It's like translucent.
well, it's like a construct.
Yeah.
Well, so it's important, I think, that to promote, when we do outreach, it really helps us to talk to our community. You know, how can you really say that you're a neighborhood council member if you don't know anybody in the neighborhood, and they don't know that you're on the board? So it's important that we do these functions, and thank you so much for everyone that came out and volunteered. And hopefully you can find the banner, the UNC flag and stuff, and go to more events and talk to people, especially in our footprint, so they know who we are, because we'll have elections coming up. Yeah, good. We have elections coming up, and how will people want to vote? We have really low voting because people don't really know about the neighborhood council, and we need to be out there promoting ourselves more.
Okay, well, I'm glad you said that, because I'm moving to president's report, I'm skipping everything. Oh, Colleen had her hand up.
I just wanted to recognize Sandra for.
Oh, for everything.
Beautiful,
Mhm.
beautiful research. It's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, president's report, because it does build on that. So one thing is that in other committees, we have discussed the master green project, I mentioned it earlier, but what Caesar did at his table with the, I'm saying he, I mean, he had a whole team. The maps, stickers, Post-it notes, I never saw it, but I've seen photos of it, and more than 100 people participated in that. We're gonna take that show on the road, as I mentioned earlier, and tailgate onto other people's events, other neighborhoods and events. So we're gonna, the events, and I will send out a calendar, because we're gonna need to table at a lot of events. We're gonna have a table at, on April 4 at Benny Potter Park for the South Seas Spring Extravaganza. So we'll have a table there, but we were only gonna do for kids, but now we'll put this up too. We will be at the May 9th Fire Service Day. Council District 10 is asking that we have a table at the annual Dada, which is Debbie Allen Dance Academy block party on Washington Boulevard. That's Sunday, June 7th. We're trying to get a table at LA 84's Play Day, which would be Saturday, the last Saturday in June. I want to say 29, but I could be wrong. I've checked in with West Adams Heights Hill Neighborhood Association. They often, but not always, have a big block party, and they're gonna actually get back to us. They're having their board meeting on Tuesday, but the point is, we're trying to make the master green plan, not just us top down, but neighbors top up. You know, what do they think is green? Where do they want green? You know, what is it? Where is it? So that we really have engaged, but in doing that, we'll also be meeting our neighbors. That's thing one. Thing two, needs at least a hand vote. I don't know if it needs a BAC. Council District 10 is doing 2 motions, either Friday, Tuesday, both related to the former Mary Clay School at 3911 West Adams Boulevard. It's now the World something preschool.
Oh,
it's the same house.
Okay.
Mary Clay opened a kindergarten catering to African-American children of working mothers in 1959, and it ran until mid 1970s. And she passed away, then her daughter-in-law Sue Clay continued to run it. It was, if not the first, nobody ever wants to say it's the first, but if it wasn't the first, it's one of the few and early kindergartens for African children, because they weren't You know, LA was not Jim Crow, but it kind of was, basically.
It wasn't very welcoming.
Yeah, it kind of it was. So, they would like a letter of support from UNC saying that we support that you do two things. One, motion number one is to name the one block of Adams from 9th to 10th, Mary Clay School Square. That'll be within the Reverend James Lawson mile that already exists, but they're, you know, we're good with that. And then they're also going to nominate it as a historic cultural monument from the floor of the council. So they'd ask if we can support that. There'd be no reason not to.
You need a motion?
I think a motion would be good, but I think we can then vote by hand.
Okay, I make a motion that we support the two council district proposals, one for the Mary Kay Square
Dedication.
and also for the cultural nomination of the school site itself.
I second. Everybody in favor?
Okay, all in favor? Okay. And that's the president's report. Do any of my other officers have any reports?
No, so from last time.
Right, and the monthly expenditure report was not generated yet today, so there's nothing to vote on. Okay, I need help cleaning up. Just so you guys know.
We should announce that those two now vacant positions are at large.
Yes,
At large
you are absolutely correct. So I'm gonna send out an e-blast. We do have, we just created two more vacant positions and we're both at-large positions. But of course, we also have area 1, area 3, and the other area 6 position. So the e-blast will cover all of that. And we will be interviewing candidates at the next executive committee. And please, if we have them, candidates will be voting on them at the April board meeting.
So outreach.
Right.
Yeah, that. Gentlemen.
So he's not, they're,
Interested in
so he's not the other than
No, he's
You
not.
come, you come to executive committee first, and you come to executive committee first, and then, just kind of talk about yourself, and then you come back to this meeting, and then the whole. Yeah.
Correct. Okay, so you guys, again, so resetting everything. I do have the key to this place. That's a beautiful piece of information. Well, I think you can take it to storage.
Yes, thank you, everyone.